guys, so today and next week what we're going to be doing is we are going to be producing a piece of artwork based on a Russian artist. Now this Russian artist, as you can see on your screen, he produces work based on lots of patterns. Now he is an illustrator, and so what he does is he produces lots of patterns. He likes looking at different textures. So this obviously links with the work that we have done so far. So let me show you a couple of his pieces. Now, here is one, and you can see within each of those different sections. So if we just look at this one here, he's got a texture, and it's almost like a texture of wood. And again, in that blue section, the blue shape at the back there, again, almost has a wood-like appearance. So he includes textures within his work, but he also includes patterns as well. Notice the shapes. Some of those shapes look very similar to the natural form shapes that we have looked at previously. And some of them are very irregular. Okay, some of them look very random shapes. Again, another one of his is more of a simplistic style. And what he does, as you can see there, is he builds up the shapes as layers. So each shape has a different layer to the next one. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a go at creating one of these, and we're going to do that using Photopea. So here is an example of one that I created. All right, and for those of you, you will recognize this pattern that we did last week and the week before last, where I then transformed that pattern and put it onto a shirt. So I would like you to include your pattern into this piece of artwork, so the pattern that you did last week, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now on the Google slide you will find links to the videos, but you won't then hear me speaking. So if you want to hear my instructions, then just click back onto this YouTube link, make a note of whereabouts you got, how many minutes into it, and obviously do something similar to what you did before, where you're going to watch and you're going to be working alongside it. But for this one, you will need to watch a lot of it, and then you play and rewind as needed. All right, so this is what you're going to do. First thing you're going to do is you're going to open up Photopea, and you're going to be starting a new project. Now you can call it anything you want. So you just type that into here. And then when you've done that, you are going to have the width of 300, and that is millimeters. And you can select that just there, by 200. And the DPI, we do not need lots and lots of dimension and depth to this, so 100 will be fine. Leave it as transparent and click create. Then what you are going to do, you're going to add a new layer, and you do that just down at the bottom there, and you will see a new layer will come up. So that's the one that looks like a little post-it, and you're going to go over to the pen symbol. So left click on pen, go up, select a color, any color that you want. Make sure that your stroke has a red X in it. So if it has got a color, click on the red X. That is important. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to start drawing your shape. And remember, these shapes can be anything that you want. So you're just going to go along and you're going to create a wiggly shape. Now, if you do it too fast, the computer will glitch just like that. And it will then catch back up to wherever you are. So go along using your mouse, using your finger, and create your shapes. Now, when you've done your first one, You're then going to repeat this process a number of times, and I would like you to have 6 to 8 different shapes. All right. So again, start doodling your second one. Now it will go underneath or over the top actually of your first one. So just doodle away. We can always move those. Think about the different shapes. You can always click back over and look at the artist's work. Now at the moment you can see they're the same color. So click on the fill button up here and you can select a different color. Right, and you're just going to keep on doing that. So again, I go back to my pen. It's still going to be the same color, but I can change it afterwards. And as I said, you're going to do this for 6 to 8 of them. So again, pop up. If you want to change the color to anything else, click on the box and then you can have a look. So I'll show you again. So click into that box. You can then change the color down there. So your color palette is up to you. If you prefer oranges and reds and yellows and black, then do so. The black you will be having as a background, okay, or a charcoal type of grey. So do bear in mind, don't have shapes as black because you will have black as a background. But there are plenty of colours for you to pick from. All right, you can go along, anything you want, you can slide this bar up and down. You've got lots of different colour variations. You can then move the circle and it will change. Okay, so you're going to do that several times. Now, if you're not happy with the order of the shapes, so for instance, if you want that blue one to be over the top of the yellow one, all you do is you click with the left-hand button with the mouse, hold it down and drag it to wherever you wish. Now, I want that to be right at the top, and you can see that the order has changed. Right, and you can do that to as many or as few as you want. So you can see that the blue one is now on top of the yellow one. Right, now if you wish to change the size, you click on the move tool like you did before and you can move it. Remember that the transform controls, if this one over here is ticked, then you can also stretch and change the actual size as well as just moving it. So you can rotate it and you can enlarge or shrink. So you can rejig your shapes, you can move them around until you are happy with them. All right, so it's totally up to you how and what your layout looks like. Right, so you're just going to fill that full 6 to 8. The more shapes, probably the better it will look. I've left mine here quite plain, and you will see later on that I do then go back and I add a few extras. But you can always do that. You can always leave it and then come back to it and carry on adding. All right, so twist it around as you so wish. Now, at the moment, you can see that there are these little tiny squares that are on the layers, and that stops us from being able to edit it other than moving. So we can move it, we can tilt it, we can rotate it, we can change the shape of it. But what we can't do is we cannot put pattern into it. And so what we're going to do with that, you are going to right click and you are then going to click rasterize. So you're going to click on the layer, right click, rasterize. On the layer, right click, rasterize. And you're going to work way all the way through the shapes, doing that to every single one. So you will notice those little squares have gone now, and that means that I can now edit them, I can add things to them, I can paint onto them. And that is what we are going to be doing. All right. So what I would like this blue shape to do is, as you can see here, on this one, it is light. So it is dark just here, and it then goes to light over this area here. And this is what I'm going to do. It's called a gradient. And so we are going to be adding a gradient or a texture to our pattern. So I want dark on this side and light over there. So to do so, what we do, first of all, click on the shape that you want to do. Then we need the gradient, and the gradient quite often is hiding under the paint bucket tool. So you're going to click with the right hand button and it will show you the gradient tool. So then click with the left hand button on the gradient. If it is already there showing you the gradient, that's fine. So click with the left and now you can see the gradient is showing. Up at the top, so one thing I didn't do was I need to select the shape. So again, I want the magic wand. If the magic wand isn't showing, you right click just here and select on the magic wand. And I want to select inside here. So then I end up with these little line of dots. I call them ants, all the way around the outside. Now what that means is when I fill with the gradient, it will remain inside of that shape. So up here, you can see you're going to select the colors. So double click just on that little square. I quite like the idea of having it the dark blue. So select any color, it doesn't have to be blue, you pick, and then double click, work out what color you want to get it to. And you can see that gradient, say okay. Now you have a few different options with the gradient. At the moment it is on linear, which means it will be a straight line with the gradient. You're going to click with the left hand button, hold it down and release. Now at the moment I've got a little line, which means the gradient is very small. It's a little gradient. A bigger line, it will give you a bigger blur. Now the direction that you draw is the direction of the gradient. So if I wanted darker there and light at the bottom, that's the linear. Okay, so this one you can see again, if you want a bigger, you can see I've got dark there, but it's nice and light still along the edges and along just at the bottom. Right, but you can have a play around with this. So you can see wherever you've drawn the line, the reflected will go from the one color to the other color as if there was a mirror in the middle. And finally, the diamond, obviously, depending on where you point, the 2 points there, that is the diamond shape. Now, the one that I really like, it's a radial one, but it depends on for you. When you've done that, so have a go at doing that. As you can see, so it's dark to light. And one of the other things you can see there, we've got the textures and the pattern. So I would like to use my pattern onto shape 3. Now, one of the things that I've currently still got is I have still got these ants, and nothing will work if I've got the ants. Okay, what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag my pattern that we did last week, and I'm going to let go of it on here like that. If if you haven't got it close to hand, the other thing that you can do is you can go up to your file and you can say open and place, which is in the file. And when you click open and place, it will then ask you what file to have. And then you can go and find your one that will be called Art Project, because it's the one that you did a couple of weeks ago. And this is your pattern here. All right, now I want it just on the green section. So what I'm going to do is I am going to move it. Now, remember before we had to rasterize it, we're going to do the same thing. If it ever comes up with a little warning saying it's not a smart object, rasterize it. Now, as you can see, these little ants, we want to kill them. So unfortunately, we're going to press Control D. All right, and then we're going to move our pattern to underneath the shape. So I'm going to shrink down the pattern so that it is about the same size. Then I'm going to be using those little ants. I'm going to use that selection and the magic wand. Okay, so, and I want to remove any of the space from outside. So first of all, I clicked on the shape free. I go to magic wand. Now, if I just click on it like that, what I currently have is it is the shape that has been selected. Now, even though we want the shape with the pattern, what we need to do is we need to delete any of the other areas. So at the moment, the selection is inside that shape, right? Which is not what we want to do. So what you need to do, so we're not clicking on the actual shape itself, you're going to click outside, right? And I will show you that in just a second. So at the moment, you can see these little ants are just around the outside of the shape, and the edge here does not have any ants. Now that's crucial because that means it is not correct. That's not what we want it to do. Okay. So what we need is we need the section on the outside. So you can see there, we've now got the ants going around the outside and around the shape. Okay, that's what we want. So we then must click on the pattern. And then when you click delete, it will remove this area of pattern from the area that is selected. So all you do is click delete and it is gone. Now at the moment it is still hiding behind the green, so we just need to lift the green one up underneath and you can see there it is. All right, now you're going to be building up your patterns and textures just like this. Okay, you can go onto Google, you can search for different patterns or different textures. So you can see here I've got a pattern. You're just going to copy that and we can then paste that over. So copy the image, go back into Photopea, Control and V or edit and paste, whichever one you want. Now it's come up way too big. But unfortunately, if it does do that, don't worry. All you're going to do is go to the Move tool and click, make sure it's got the transform controls, and you're going to drag it down in the corner, and you're going to keep doing this until it is the right size. If it's too small, you can do the same thing. Obviously, a big one is great because it's not going to pixelate, and you're just going to keep dragging it down till you're happy with it. Now this one here, I'm going to put where the purple shape is. All right, so again, what you're going to do is you want to get it so it's about the right size. You're going to place it where you want it to be. All right, I can't see the purple one, so just going to move the purple one back up the top. And you're going to go over to your magic wand. And you are going to, so over to the magic wand. And remember to select on the area that you wish to delete. And then you're going to click delete. Making sure that you select on the layer that you want to delete, just like that. Now, you can have it so it's completely with a pattern, or if you still like, I quite like this purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the opacity on that purple. So just here, you can see opacity. Click on the arrow and you're going to drag that down. What that does is it still means that the purple one is still there, but it is just a bit less. So you can see the difference when you click on the eye to view the section. And I quite like that as it is. All right, now you're going to go along and you're going to keep doing that. I've then added on extra shapes, so you can do that as well if you so wish. What I then did with my one was I have added different textures. So I looked at a prickly wall surface that I put like concrete under the yellow section. The one that I'm currently doing, I have looked at patterns with leaves. And so I filled it. So I first of all, I painted it so it was like a dark green color, as you can see there. And then I filled it using different leaf shape. Again, just gone on to Google to find that. And I placed it on. And again, I did the same thing where I changed the opacity with the green so that the leaves weren't quite as bright. So I just carried on playing around. I've added a few of those extra little bubbles in. When you finish that, you're going to go to a second. When you finish that, what you're going to do down at the bottom down here, you're going to go right down to the bottom. You're going to click on the background layer. Then you're going to click on this little one down here. Looks like a post-it note, which will be a new layer. And then we are going to fill that background with a black or a dark grey or a dark shade of a colour. So you will see that just happening. Now we need the bucket tool for this. So right click on the gradient, go to the bucket and then find a colour. I didn't want to go completely for black, so I'm going to go for a charcoal grey. Say OK. And then you're just going to click anywhere on the background, make sure that it's on the bucket, and you're going to click just there. Make sure it's on the layer 3 as well. We don't want to fill one of your shapes. And there is that. Now from that, you can then see if there's any particular blank areas that you want to fill in. And you're just going to keep on going and keep on building that up. Okay, so again, you can just keep going, building up your different shapes, adding as many as you want. As I said, the artist had like these little tiny bubbles, so I've drawn some extra bubbles on my one. But it's up to you. It's completely your piece. All right. Really thinking irregular shapes. I would like to see you using that gradient tool. I would like you to include your own pattern, the one that you did for me a few weeks ago. And I'd like you to include some other kind of patterns or some other textures within your shapes as well. Please do not leave them plain. If you are making multiple of them, you can double click up here. You can change the name up here. And then when you go File, Save as PSD, it will then be to the new name. All right, make sure that you submit it by attaching it onto your Google